I know a lot of you out there were hoping for a mistranslation. I know a lot of you out there were hoping that they were just being Nintendo, right? The guys who always tease and say it's not happening, but then in reality, once you lift the curtain, it's actually happening. But now we have an interview with an English publication from Aonuma himself, and we get the clarity that we've been looking for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom DLC. And it's weird. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. How are you all doing today? I don't know how you handle this situation. Nintendo has previously, before a game released, said, hey, DLC is coming. You can pre-buy into the DLC expansion pack even before the game is released. And then they've also released DLC much later. But the one thing you can't do is say there will be no DLC before a game comes out, because that just sours the mood. So everyone was expecting Tears of the Kingdom DLC, and we're hoping that it would be revealed at one of the two directs after Tears of the Kingdom. Crazy to think we're already 2 directs post Tears of the Kingdom, but there was hope. And there was hope that maybe at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards Spectacular in December, perhaps that's where DLC would come in. There was great DLC for Breath of the Wild, and it was a really awesome piece of content. 2 pieces, though. The latter was the Champion's Ballad, and I think that's where everyone found extreme value, hoping that maybe Tears of the Kingdom would get same treatment. Then, about a week and a half ago, Aonuma gave an interview with Famitsu, and it looked like he said there would be no more content for this game. But the question was a bit odd. They were asking about, sequels and follow-ups to Tears of the Kingdom, the world of Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. It was a bit confusing maybe what exactly he was referencing, and we always have the translation barrier, so sometimes things get mistranslated, or sometimes things are not as direct as they would be if it was revealed in the native language. But today we have our final nail in the coffin, and I still find this so strange. I still find this to be such a weird move, but it's a very Nintendo move. NPR is the host of this interview. Nintendo takes themselves very seriously. Serious business, can't you tell? Aonuma did an interview with NPR, and then they wrote him an email, I guess, asking about the DLC question. Thank goodness for NPR. And Aonuma responded that in Tears of the Kingdom, we were able to implement all of the elements that we wanted to achieve in this world and this story. So there will not be any DLC. Please continue to enjoy the vast world of Hyrule. I know you were hoping for the mistranslation, but it wasn't anything mistaken whatsoever. Aonuma confirms the end of Tears of the Kingdom is already here. There is no additional content, and frankly, the way that he words this, it sounds like they are done with this world. I know there'd been some sort of talk about if they found an excuse, if there was a good reason to go back to this Hyrule, but I firmly believe this is the last you've seen of this iteration of Hyrule. Now that there's no DLC, it's over. He says, we achieved everything we wanted and implemented all the elements for this world and this story. Please continue to enjoy the vast world of Hyrule. And I think that's his way of saying, we've given you all that this Hyrule can give. So enjoy it, play it for as long as you want, and then get ready for the next thing, which will continue to build on open world elements, Tears of the Kingdom creative elements, but I think will definitely take place in a reimagining or at least a new universe and not the same darn map we've had for the last 2 games. But I still find this to be such a strange outcome. I don't think anyone would have guessed before the game came out that they would not do DLC. Now, perhaps as you play and you see the story all the way through, you beat the game, maybe then you have some inkling that perhaps they could not do DLC. But given that Breath of the Wild was the first time Nintendo really did advertise and amp up a massive DLC expansion. I mean, they've done DLC sort of in the past, but this was the first time, before the game came out, it's the first big game on Switch, and they're going to be big players in the DLC space and do things that a lot of other tentpole franchises do. So you kind of expect them to continue. And yet Nintendo has been a bingo board of when they do DLC. Pokemon Scarlet Violet get it, Mario Odyssey does not. Mario Party Superstars, no DLC. Super Mario Party, years later, gets a multiplayer update. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's just a port from the Wii U, but it gets maybe the biggest DLC of any game, 6 whole waves. So it's been very strange. Their decision making of how they decide when and where to implement DLC is confusing to me. I don't know that there's rhyme or reason to it. So we look ahead to upcoming games like Metroid Prime 4. Will that have DLC? Quite possibly. Metroid Dread actually had quite a few updates and quite a few interesting add-ons as the game went in through its life cycle. But Tears of the Kingdom is done, and I wonder how you feel about that. Because not only does it mean, oh, no more playing in the world of Tears of the Kingdom, but it also means no 3D Zelda for a long time. You see, kind of one of the hidden silver linings of the Breath of the Wild DLC, besides it being awesome to play, is that it gave us Zelda content for another year. Now with Tears of the Kingdom already existing as it is, as it will always be, there's no 3D Zelda for a long time. You'll be waiting quite a bit, which adds the anticipation, which ups the stakes, and which is just going to be an interesting difference from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, which already felt like an insane wait, and now the wait could feel even longer. Now, I know some of you think Nintendo might change their minds, but I really don't believe this is as such. The fact that Aonuma now twice has specifically said there will not be any DLC. He's not saying, oh, right now there's no DLC at this time, oh, we don't have plans for DLC. He's saying, we did everything we wanted, we implemented all that we could, there will not be DLC, enjoy the game before you. And I wonder if Nintendo charging $70 is part of this. I do think that sometimes they think about things in maybe a very different way than you or I would think about things, or Western publishers would think about things. And I wonder if their guilt or fear of charging $70 allowed them to ignore DLC even more. You know, Aonuma's story reasons and, being able to achieve everything, that's good and fine. But I do wonder if the fact that they got $10 more per purchase from Tears of the Kingdom than Breath of the Wild either eliminated the need for DLC or made them wary of DLC. Adding in a $30 DLC pack would have made this a $100 game, which I don't think anybody like you or me, fans, would really care about. We would just love having more Tears of the Kingdom content. And it's strange because Nintendo doesn't seem to care about what games players actually want more of. Everybody wanted more Animal Crossing and they just abandoned it. Everybody would love Tears of the Kingdom DLC and they're not giving it to us. So Nintendo makes decisions that they make for business reasons and for design reasons. Aonuma will have you believe it's a design reason strictly, no more story, nothing more to implement. But I do wonder if there's a business decision here. Even though that seems very odd, it seems like the better business decision would be to launch DLC, but perhaps they didn't want to wear out their welcome. Maybe they truly couldn't think of any great idea that would be worthy of charging an expansion pack price. And I think Nintendo, one thing you can give them credit for, is they will err on the side of, we'd rather not risk something bad than do it at all. You know what I mean? Like, they will delay a game, they will restart it in the case of Metroid Prime 4, they will not do DLC for their most anticipated title, possibly of all time, if they don't have a great idea. And that's something that we can give Nintendo major props for. Whether you like that there's no DLC or are sad there's no DLC, knowing that Nintendo does always try to put their best foot forward and will not release something if it's buggy, if it's not ready, if it's not working out, if it doesn't seem like a good idea, or if they don't have any great idea at all. If they feel like they've implemented everything they could, they're not going to milk you just because they can. And believe me, they can. Tears of the Kingdom is sold enough and people are hungry enough for Zelda content that they could easily sell a ho-hum expansion pack. But they're very big on not selling their brands. They're very big on keeping their scores super high. And so I respect that they're not going to just shovel you something because they know you'll cough up the dollars. Tears of the Kingdom is whole and complete in their eyes. And now it's got to be whole and complete in our eyes as well. I bet some of you are sad, but alas, Nintendo is also about to move into another generation. And I think this could factor in as well. Knowing that they're moving to the Switch 2, maybe they feel that they'll re-release the game on Switch 2 and that will generate more sales. Maybe they somehow feel that releasing DLC during this transition period would be awkward or somehow not benefit them. I won't pretend to know every exact reason, but we do have Aonuma stated they did everything they wanted to do. They took Tears of the Kingdom from the template of Breath of the Wild. They took their crazy ideas, they expanded upon so much from the original game, and then they made it what they made it. And I think everybody can agree that they made it pretty darn great. So shed a tear if you will, but then remember that we got two insane 3D Zeldas this generation, and that's really great. Both of them were stellar titles. We also got a Skyward Sword HD port. We also got a 2D Zelda remaster remake. Will we get another brand new Zelda soon? It would be 2D if anything, but the wait I think will be long for the next 3D, and we'll do it together. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.